Hello and welcome to Educator.com's AP Studio Art 2D Design Portfolio course. Today we are going to introduce all of the information that you are going to need so that you kind of know how the portfolio works and a little bit of information about this course and what it's going to entail. So here we go. The requirements for AP Studio Art 2D Design Portfolio is very different than that of other AP courses. In fact, there is no test for the AP Studio Art exam. They call it an exam, but it's not an actual exam. Instead, it's a portfolio of work that one submits for grading. So inside of this portfolio, this body of work, there are 3 different sections. They're labeled right here, and you'll have a lesson on each of them. Section 1 is called the breadth section. Section 2 is called the concentration section, and then the last part is the physical part, and that's called the quality section of the portfolio. So again, there's no actual physical test. You don't have to study for anything, which is really great. You just have to work hard all year long, make a bunch of really great artwork, and turn it in. So section 1, the breadth section, I'll be teaching an entire lesson on the breadth section coming up next, but the basics of it are that there's 12 art pieces that you're going to create. They're based around the principles of art and elements of design. So if you've ever taken any kind of art class, you'll probably have heard about proportion and scale and balance and all these other things. So they're based around that. And then lastly, the lessons and projects that you'll be having in this course are all created around the scoring rubric, which is available on AP Central's website if you just type in this URL right here. So there is a rubric that the graders use to work with, and all of the lessons that you will have in the next entire course for this entire course at Educator.com is all based around that scoring rubric so that you get a really successful score. The next section of the portfolio is called the concentration. And again, 12 pieces that describe this time an in-depth exploration of a particular 2D design concern. Now the concentration is a little bit different from the breadth section because it is a student-driven project. So we'll get more into what the concentration entails, but for now, just note that the breadth section requires 12 pieces, the concentration requires 12 pieces. The last part of the portfolio is called the quality section. The quality section is where you're going to physically submit, turn in physically, 5 actual works that demonstrate mastery of concept, composition, and execution. They are physical art pieces that you are going to be submitting. So you're not just turning them in digitally, you're physically turning them in after you have matted and flapped, and you're going to put them in a portfolio and you're going to send them by mail into College Board's scoring site. So you'll mail them in on testing day, and then you'll be done with the portfolio. That's the quality section. All right, so there is a timeline involved. You won't be able to start this class in, say, February and finish it in time for the following May. Is that 2 or 3 month gap of time? You do need a significant amount of time in order to give yourself the ability to really hone in your skill, to take the amount of images that you're going to need, and to be able to achieve a higher level that's going to get you a high score. Now, this course is based on the idea that photography is going to be your 2D design medium. So all of the classes, all of the projects that you're going to be assigned are going to be photography based, which is just one area of the 2D design portfolio that you're allowed to use. So you must connect before you even start. You must connect with a local high school and register and pay for the portfolio in order to submit it. They usually close this up in February and usually start opening it up sometime in January. So if you're watching this and it's like September for you, or it's October and it's fall, that's a great time to start this course. And even if you're waiting until, January to start it, you can still do it in about 4 or 5 months, but it's definitely more difficult. So make sure that you give yourself enough time to complete it. I would highly not recommend that you try to start the portfolio 2 weeks before its deadline. You physically won't be able to achieve that. All right, the portfolio itself is actually not due until early May. So that does give you some time. So the best thing that you can do is you can kind of set a calendar up for yourself and decide how long you want to spend on each part of the portfolio as you start to listen to these lessons. All right, most people will work on all of the sections simultaneously. There's really only 2 sections you work on because the quality is going to be pulled from the concentration and the breadth. So for your portfolio, you're probably going to want to start working on the breadth section, which are all of the lessons and projects that will be included in this course, as well as your concentration, and you'll want to do those simultaneously. Most people will want to do it simultaneously. Every once in a while, there will be some people who want to divide the portfolio into 2 different different parts by doing just their breadth section and then doing their concentration afterward. And that is totally fine. Some people do it that way. They feel more confident doing that way. They want to concentrate on one thing at a time. Depends on how you are. Most people, however, it's very important to make sure that if you do divide, the people that divide generally need to do the breadth first. And the reason for that is there's so much more investigation that happens in the breadth that gets you started. If you just try to start with a concentration and try to come up with something on your own and you have no guidance, it'll be very, very challenging for you to make something that is of quality, that is high enough to get you a good score on your portfolio. So the last thing is just that you should expect to devote several months, and you really do need to make a plan before you dive into these lessons. Set up a calendar for yourself, decide on how much time you have, and then make it like a job for yourself. Every 2 weeks you have a deadline, and make sure that you meet those deadlines as you continue to work through this course. All right, I have just a couple of tips for success because, of course, we want you to be successful. We want you to pass your portfolio. So the first thing that you can do to be successful is make sure that you download on AP Central's website, download the AP Studio Art course description and read through it thoroughly. Don't just download it and leave it on your computer, but read through it thoroughly. In fact, there's a couple of different portfolios that you can turn in. So you need to make sure that you read through the AP Studio Art 2D Design. I'm going to write it here, 2D Design is the one that we are doing. So make sure that that is the portfolio description that you read through. There's other ones on there. Avoid those. All right, another tip for you is not to procrastinate. I guarantee you will not be very successful with your portfolio if you wait to the last minute on any of your projects. This is not a course for people who wait until the last minute. This is definitely a course for people who want to achieve and work hard and make a really fantastic series of artwork, and you don't want to study for a test, you just want to take photos for college credit. That's pretty awesome, but don't procrastinate along the way. All right, do not save all of the work for the week before the deadline. You're going to be so overwhelmed with the amount of work that you have to do. I like to tell my students that I have in class, in the classroom, I like to tell them that this is not a difficult class. I do not believe it's like AP Calculus or something that's very strenuous or really brain heavy, right? Instead, it's labor intensive, which means that if you don't have the amount of time to commit, then it's probably not for you. That's honest, okay? But if you do have the amount of time and you're pretty onto it with art and you want to take photos and you want to do something that's really fun for credit, then you're going to have a really good time with this course. So experiment, play, investigate, work hard on every single project that you do, and you will be very successful along the way. Second to last is to have a strong concept for your concentration. We'll get more into that in a little while, but your concentration is going to be a major part of your portfolio. In fact, it's half of your portfolio, so having a really strong concept is a really good tip for you. And then lastly, just keep on schedule. And I know that goes along with not saving your work and not procrastinating, but you need to keep on a schedule. You've got to set yourself up for success that way. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end, you've bought your portfolio, you've spent all this money, and you only have 2 pictures, and then you're in real trouble. So make sure that you keep on a schedule, set yourself up for success that way. All right, the scoring. So everybody wants to know, I'm going to do all of this portfolio, I'm going to make this thing, I'm going to do all these pictures, but how am I going to know if I did well, right? So you should, before you even begin, before you even start this program, you should absolutely go through and download and read, don't just download it, but read it, the AP Scoring Guideline. So along with that AP course description, download the scoring guideline so that you can read through the scoring guideline and read through what they're trying to get you to do. Basically, what they want you to produce is college level art. All right, so not snapshots, but art. So we are going to be working on fine art photography, not snapshot holiday selfies and all that stuff, but fine art. So the lessons that you will see in this entire course are based around that idea. Okay, so there's a couple of basics in the scoring that you should be aware of. The first thing is that scores are awarded from a 6 all the way through a 1. Now, you will never know, this is kind of sad, but you'll never know if you got a 6 because they will only score you as high as a 5. But if for some reason someone calls you or someone sends you a letter in the mail asking if they can put your piece on the poster, you can let yourself know that you actually did get a 6. So they kind of weed out the people they want to put on the AP poster for the following year by giving them a 6. And that is a very, very limited amount of people. The majority of people who have very high success success in the portfolio will only receive a 5. That's the highest score. Now, a 3 or above is actually passing, but a lot of colleges, especially on the West Coast, and I'm sure on the East Coast as well, but I know that a lot of colleges are not accepting college level credit from AP classes unless you receive a certain score or above. So it is really advisable for you to check in with your college and ask them, hey, what score do I need to have on the AP portfolio in order to receive credit from your university before? It'll be very, very helpful for you to know that in advance, because most of you guys will need a 4 or a 5 in order to actually receive credit. So all of the designed lessons that you will see in the next couple of however long it takes you, all of those are designed to give you a 4 or a 5 on the portfolio, hopefully a 5 every time, which would be awesome. So that is the scoring. There are a variety of descriptors in each point category. To receive a particular score, not every descriptor will be true, but a majority will be. So when you download and read the scoring guideline, right, because I know you're going to read it, but when you go through and you read it, it's going to say 6, excellent, and then it's going to have a list of all of the different things that have to be true of your artwork in order for you to receive a 6, or to receive a 5, or to receive a 4. Now, all of those list of things might not be true for every single one of your pictures, because they're not grading each individual photo, they're grading it as a collection. So even if 2 or 3 of them are more of a 3, but the rest of the pictures are more of a 4, they're going to score you in the 4 category. I hope that makes sense to you. So they always weight it a little bit higher than what you would traditionally have if they were to individually score them. But there's a lot of different descriptors in each of those categories, and not every single one of them has to be true. Just a majority has to be true for you to get that particular score. All right, so please, please, please read through the scoring guideline before you begin this course, because it's going to really and truly significantly impact the success of your portfolio. And of course, the whole entire reason why you're spending any time doing this at all is to make sure that you pass, right? And that you get college level course credit. So we want to make sure that you read that scoring guideline before you start to make sure that you're going to be successful. All right, last thing I do want to make mention to you is that AP College Board does give us, everybody, access to a bunch of old portfolios that have been turned in from former students. All right, and what's really cool is they'll let you know what the score was. So if you go to this website right here and you look on sample portfolios from previous years, you'll get to see what other students have turned in, and that is really going to help you. All right, now I will make mention that not all of the portfolios that are turned in for 2D design are photography based. Our course is. So you might open up a 2D designed portfolio and it might be something that is not photography. So please feel free to incorporate other graphic design types of pieces into your work if you are into that. If you already have a working base or you've created artwork outside of this course that you really love in another alternative class, as long as it is a 2-dimensional item, you're welcome to submit it alongside any of the photos that you take. I am, however, making sure that this course covers you so that if you do an exclusively photography portfolio, you're set and ready to go. But this website is going to give you a variety of options that you can see what other students have done and what their scores have been. I hope you enjoyed this lesson from Educator.com, and I hope to continue to teach you along the way on how to make your portfolio. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.